This is Benny Goodman, and you're listening to 2020 with Cory Peza and Siobhán Cronin. And this week, we got one in the archives with our good buddy, Angel Vivaldi, not to be confused with the dead composer that you probably don't know about.
This is an incredible episode for me because he's just such an encyclopedia of information, like so much great.
Was that condescending?
What would I say?
Nobody knows about, no, that they don't know about Vivaldi.
Yeah, I've given up on the world caring about classical music at this point.
We got the cooler Vivaldi, I think.
Yeah.
But Angel comes on, he drops knowledge bombs left and right. If you're like trying to, be a DIY musician or just do anything on your own. Just
anyone wanting to learn about building a brand, honestly. It doesn't matter what industry. It's such useful information.
What you're going to learn is you should just chop him up and snort him, and then you can become anything you want to be too. Because Angel Vivaldi literally runs on life. He's like, honestly, the thing that's great about him is his story is so inspiring. And the fact is, he makes me like tired just talking about what he does.
I was going to say, he has more energy than you and somehow is way less annoying.
Well, that's because he's fabulous.
Right.
Well, he's fabulous. He's fit. He's like super organized. He just like makes you want to get up and do something.
Well, I think that's annoying. I'll be honest with you. He's been posting a lot of stuff to Instagram lately where it's like him all jacked and like, I don't want to see that. Like, thank you for reiterating how out of shape I am and my poor self-body image, Angel Vivaldi, with your fucking gains.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're vitamin D deficient inside studios all day long. So like, who even knows?
And also, after you listen to the episode, make sure you check out Angel on the Lost Symphony Chapter 1 record. He plays on a song called Lacrimosa, and it's beautiful. He also posted a video to his YouTube of the performance, and it's amazing.
And you should probably go to 2020-d.com if you actually want to watch what you're hearing. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do, if you want to see what actually goes down, go and subscribe to our YouTube. It's all on there because you're like me. You don't want to fucking hyperlink. Is it a hyperlink now?
Yeah. One quick note. We referenced another episode with our buddy Rodolfo Zuniga, who is the drummer for Julio Iglesias. And so that's coming out soon. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to that. Rodolfo is like one of my dear friends, and he is so talented. So
that'll be out in a few weeks. But right now we got Angel Vivaldi,
who I consider to be an American treasure, despite really technically, is it like a province of the United States, Puerto Rico? Is it like is it like a zone?
This is why we play music and don't teach history.
An archipelago?
Yes. Yeah, you're just listen to Angel talk. You learn something, not from us.
Without further ado, I'd like to say welcome to 2020. I am Benny Goodman over there in is that a Guns N' Roses shirt there? Cool. We're wearing like the 1991 Guns N' Roses Metallica lineup, probably the same shirts. And we got Siobhán Cronin down there. And I'm so happy.
You didn't say my name, but that's cool.
Cory Peza. Cory Peza, 5 and 7 o'clock shows, Just Friends, CoryPeza.com. And then we have the one, the only, the incredible guitar player, but I don't want to relegate him to just being a guitar player because he's more than that. He does so much for this fucking planet. Angel Vivaldi!
Woo! What's going on, guys? How are you?
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Good to see you.
Pleasure's all mine, man. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Awesome, man.
It's 2020.
So happy to see you, that you can actually get audio, because we were just talking before. We all got 2020 because Angel has some crazy audio thing that like I just saw him like what the.
Yeah.
And then Siobhán just got this crazy Zoom thing, and she's like, it's
not
like reading
Star Wars. I don't know what all this does.
I can only relate this to the end of Aliens, when Sigourney Weaver's going up the elevator, and there's just flames coming, and you know the mother alien's coming, and then the ship's coming, but it's like the mother alien's coming, and there's all this fucking steam, then you just see...
Yeah.
Is there gonna be time? And that's how I feel, because Angel's so fucking busy just to get him on the show. I don't even know if we'll get 37 minutes out of this guy.
No, you will.
Oh, man.
I'm happy too.
I'm paying for the whole hour. I'll leave it on the nightstand.
I'll send you an invoice.
Talk to my manager.
So, Angel, welcome to our podcast, and thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for being a part of Lost Symphony, which is our sponsor.
Yeah, of course, man. It's
Oh my gosh,
pleasure.
I didn't
Week.
pick up my CD. It's over there.
Very important.
Love it. Yes.
So how has 2020 been treating you? 'Cause that's kind of our first question usually.
I mean, to be honest, 7% of me feels a little guilty saying this, but I've honestly never been better. Aside from not being able to train at the gym, my life hasn't changed too much. I am quite the homebody, and being raised in the House of Marines, I was kind of built for this kind of shit. So, it was more a matter of adapting and just really, because I feel like it was a domino effect with a lot of people's time and a lot of artists' time. We've been given time. So being that so many people were given so much time that they didn't account for previously, a lot of people started pulling the trigger on projects that they kind of had on the back burner. And being that as it is, I was contacted by a lot of artists who wanted like guest solos, or a lot of artists actually, the bulk of my time has been doing a lot of the consultations with my agency. And with that alone, man, my God, it was...
What is that? What consultations are these?
Yeah, can you please plug something so we can with the 7 people that watch us.
yeah. So,
6 minus my mom.
6 minus your mom. That's a given, though.
But we get at least 13 views out of her, so it's cool.
Well,
my
you
God.
get the repeats, the repeat.
Yeah, and then there's Anne Marie, Siobhan's mom. She's at least 10 views. So.
Oh my God, yeah. 10 views before her bottle of wine, and then afterwards she's like, oh, I never saw this.
Yeah, my mom might like have the bottle of wine and just kind of play it as she's knocked out, just to give us that one view.
That's thoughtful.
Just to kind of come through for us. But yeah, so approximately, God, man, I would say sometime at the end of 2017, along with guitar lessons, because here's the thing with guitar lessons and stuff like that. Enough's enough. There's so many resources for that, and while I do enjoy it, I felt like a lot of my expertise could be very beneficial for artists in many other ways that isn't really offered. So, being that I've been in the industry as a DIY, do-it-yourself, self-managed artist since 2003.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
You make me tired. I watch you all the fucking time on the internet, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all. I can't follow all the things you're doing for humanity.
Oh, thanks,
if it's
man.
not telling people how to clean your house, to decorate your fucking room, to how to do a proper video, to don't put it online if you can't do it.
For sure.
To just fashion, to stuff for the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
Shit about guitars. I literally, I don't know how you even fucking sleep. I feel like you gotta be on Marine time, like you were alluding to, because dude, you're in great shape. You look always trimmed and all that sort of stuff, and you're killing it on the guitar, and then feeding deers and
I know,
homeless children.
hard to keep
what
up.
the fuck, dude?
Yeah, you are
Can you
the
leave
ultimate
something else?
example. Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys so much, and I value all your opinions, and it really means a lot to me. I think that it's funny, and even with the consultations, it kind of spiraled beautifully out of control. So I'll try to make this short. So long story short, DiMarzio asked me to do a photo shoot for them last August, and that was a huge dream of mine. Ever since I was a kid, I've been following Laura DiMarzio's photography, and Tony Sartino is his stylist, and he's all the DiMarzio photo shoots you see, Vi, Satriani, Tony styles them. And they asked me to do this shoot last year, and I was like, oh, it's time, and I wanted to make it the best shoot that he's ever done. So I went to the gym, I got an amazing coach, and I made a lot of progress. We did the shoot, and then it was a matter of establishing a new goal if I wanted to continue with the fitness. And what happened was I was actually training for a bodybuilding competition that I was going to be doing this June, which obviously that went to shit. But through the consultations, it went a lot, so far beyond just artists and musicians. Right now, I'm working with 2 fitness apparel companies, 2 really high-end boutique hair salons, 1 seamstress that I work with on and off, and believe it or not, I actually worked with a psychic for a little while. So it's a matter of if you can understand the industry as far as each individual industry and how they brand and what really captivates people. It's really interesting because what winds up happening is once I start helping all of these different people, I get better at it for myself and other artists. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of this cycle of, ebb and flow. All right, well, branding and marketing, it's, obviously you want to be where people are, which is online, especially nowadays because where we're going. So and
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you again because that's kind of how I do it on the show.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that you're like the American Ninja Warrior of guitar right now? Because like I feel like you've made it all the way to Mount Midoriyama or some shit, and you're like climbing. No, but I'm just saying.
We don't
like,
know,
dude,
Angel. We don't know.
all the shit. If you've not seen American Ninja Warrior, it's got its own channel on Pluto TV. If you haven't seen that shit, fucking watch it. It's free. It's awesome. But like, I just feel like you do so much shit, and it's amazing because, you know, where there's a lot of people, I see them on my Facebook feed, and we're Facebook friends. I feel special.
Yeah.
There's people that going, I've watched The Sopranos 17 times. And like, yes, it's a good show, but like, can't you do something with your time?
Yeah.
And I feel like even if you did have the amount of time that most of us do that are, you know, deciding to be smart and quarantining ourselves,
for sure.
Still don't have time to do what you're doing.
I don't think, you know what the thing is, it's not a matter of time. Like, you know, this is what I tell artists in consultations too. It's like, you know, if you want to be like a famous rock musician, a part of you has to want to eat shit and sleep in a van and struggle and not have any type of stability. Because if you don't want that struggle to some extent, for really two reasons. A, once you do get the fame, it's not going to feel like, for me at least, it's not going to feel validated because it was kind of given to you. It came too easy. You don't feel like you earned it. So I feel like with a bit of a struggle, you know, it kind of warrants whatever level of success you end up getting, you know, but it's a matter of also just being open-minded, you know? I mean, I never really thought that I would like get into videography and web design and all these different things that I do, but the way I'd explain is like this, right? So you know this. Musicians these days, if you want to be successful, like, good luck just being a musician. You have to wear many, 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 many hats. Yep. So if I were to look at my music career like a tree, right, depending on how well you take care of that tree, it's going to branch off into all these other things. And luckily for me, all these other things, you know, not only provide me a creative outlet.
This is a jazz hands tree.
Jazz hands, bitch. That's how we are, you know. But because it kind of expands, it allows me not only to get better, you know, as a skill set, but it also gives me supplemental income that I can then feed into all the expensive ideas and the $400 shirts that I want to wear for a video one time, you know?
Right.
So I've seen your videos and I've seen your shirts and they're outrageously awesome. But also outrageous part. What kind of fucking batteries does that shit take, dude?
Well, we run it on a generator.
And by the way, we have to talk about, so I wanted to talk about your Charvel shoot where we're talking about where you are dressed. You can talk about this. There's two sides to you. I was gonna say I went back to the '80s because I wanted to say, like, you know, there's such a big difference, but I realized that the side of you that looks masculine and jacked is a way different than all the '80s ads, because that side of you actually looks more accurate to me to what Charvel was doing in 1987.
Yeah, man. It's
like, that's even smaller than CeCe DeVille. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even at CeCe level there, dude.
Yeah, man. That was.
So tell them what I'm talking about, because if our listeners and our viewers don't know what we're talking about, Cory will probably superimpose this picture, but there's a beautiful picture of you with your custom guitar.
Yeah, man. So here's, and I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity to explain this, because there's a couple of puns that went over people's heads. So long story short, Charvel,
They usually do.
They usually do, I know, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But not your mom. She knows what's up. She's on the up and up. She knows what's good. But so long story short, you know, Charvel, we established my first signature guitar called the Nova, I believe in 2018. The next year we did the same model in a different color. And when we did this color, I was trying to think of like the different ad campaigns that could make it different, you know, because the first one's definitely very outlandish and very bright and obnoxious. It's green and gold. And then another one,
it's fucking cool looking.
I
Let me tell you,
gorgeous.
that's a very classic looking guitar for being an outrage. Because I'm not into the shredder Charvel kind of thing. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. But that is a beautiful, like, I start to salivate when I look at that guitar, because it's beautiful. All the angles, all the colors, and like you could tell someone with really good taste put this thing together. And it wasn't it's not like Warren Dean Martini from Warren.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that, you know, even that those type of models have their time and place, and that's what make them successful for that era. I think what makes it nice is that it's very muted, you know, and it's kind of like a modern take on something, just a little bit bolder. But, you know, when it came time to do the second one, I wanted to do something really creative as far as like a yin and yang, you know, and So I decided to kind of embrace this part of me that I always wanted to delve into because, I love special effects makeup. I watch a lot of makeup artists. I think it's really fascinating, and I always wanted to do like a full shoot and drag. I mean, like
you just want to be a production company yourself.
To do it, well,
you're gonna clone yourself, and you're just gonna make a giant production company and be like, "Work, bitch."
It's in the works, baby. It's in the works, man.
And it'll be that best production company ever.
Yeah, man. But yeah, so long story short, I did this shoot where half of me was very masculine, very Halford, black and gold, to match the newer model, which the theme is black and gold, and the other one was very green, well, like a sage and gold. And the sage and gold side was the side that I had, I posed with the drag. And man, I'll tell you, dude, it was small percentage of me was very nervous for obvious reasons. Granted, I know my fan base in particular, they're very inquisitive, very open-minded, intelligent, accepting people. But of course,
is because of your background, which we're going to have to get into because people don't know your story. It's very inspiring, and we're going to want to get into that. But
I want to get to that.
I won't digress into that yet, but I want you to know that you're on notice. We want to know about where you came from because it's a really, really, really cool story.
Oh, for sure, man. I'm happy to share it, definitely. And but luckily, once I released the ad campaigns of me half in drag and half super masculine, I mean, I feel like I wanted to call Guinness Book of World Records because it was the first time that I posted something. I feel like anyone's posted something that brave online and didn't get one negative comment. Like, I swear to God, I didn't have to.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
I thought I trolled you on that. I didn't troll you on that one.
Maybe it was here. You didn't put it here.
Who's D. Snyder? On that side.
Yeah, man.
In way better shape.
For sure, dude. And but I will say one thing. The second, so I put a documentary together around that. So it's called Becoming Nova. And so here's the thing that went over people's heads. Now, when I was thinking I needed a drag name, I was like, I have to think of a drag name. For 2 weeks, I spent like obsessing over this. And obviously the whole premise of me doing this is around the Nova, my signature guitar. So then I came up with the drag name. I was like, Novagina. Get out of here. It's perfect. It's perfect. And I had to explain it to people. People didn't get it because I feel like it was just too much. I felt like it was distracting. It was like, it's me and drag. The photos were really, had a great team. I looked incredible. My God,
you did.
They
look
did
incredible.
such an incredible.
And I can't
job.
wait for Cory to have that picture up because it is an incredible,
it'll be up, don't worry.
Yeah.
ballsy picture, and also an equally ballsy guitar that knows no genre.
It's kind of cool. It seems like a lot of the things you do have multiple layers, especially you have the puns and you have the different imagery and you have the music. And I think one of the other things you do your album was Away with Words, right? Right. I think that's clever as hell too. Is that something you consider? Do you always try to go layers deep when you're working on this stuff?
The funny thing is this. So like some of my biggest influences in general, Nine Inch Nails, Bjork, and Tori Amos. So especially with Bjork, like being so visual and Trent being so visual. I mean, I love artists who put a tremendous amount of thought into their stuff. So that's the reason why I do concept records. I mean, whether it's like Universal Language, when I did like a Martian Winter, like a season on every planet for 4 planets. And then Away with Words, there's a part 1 and part 2. And obviously all the songs are in Morse code. And you're going to get a kick. I have the track listing works out for part 2, because part 2 isn't out yet, but it will be out next year. And then obviously with Synapse was the neurotransmitters and, painting my studio a bunch of different colors and writing. It's kind of like, I guess, like method writing, if you would.
Yeah.
And I already have like the next 2 concept albums after Away with Words like in place. And I'm so excited. It's like, it's frustrating for me because the thing is, it's like I'm only one person and I'm kind of spread, relatively thin. So, a lot of the time is, when we're given time, it's a matter of time management, and but it's also a balance of taking care of yourself too, because I feel like, in capitalist America, there's this whole ego of, I sit up at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't sleep. Well, yeah, idiot, you're going to fucking die when you're 35. Like, I have a lifetime's worth of shit, So it's a matter of like, if I do go to bed at 10 in the morning, which does happen, man, I make sure to get my 8 hours, and I make sure to like take care of myself and make sure that I'm not burning myself out because, too much of something that you love is either A, going to make it a chore, and this is the way I explain that. It's like, let's say, for instance, you meet someone who wants to play guitar and you want to give them guitar lessons. Great. Well, the thing is, if they don't really want, again, that struggle of figuring it out or sleeping in the van, like I said before, what's going to happen is that passion that they had is going to become a chore. It's like when a sun makes iron. The second a sun makes iron or a star makes iron, that's when fusion and fission, start and the sun dies. And you don't want your passion to become a chore. It has to be something that you escape reality to indulge and to recenter yourself in what your purpose is. And if you have that mindset, you can kind of honor that with, the talent that you're given, but also meeting that talent halfway with a lot of hard work, And talent, here's the thing, man. I mean, like, go on YouTube, type in the word guitar talent or piano. Talent is everywhere. And when you have a lot of something in life, it's valued less. Naturally. If you see a dollar bill on the sidewalk, you're not going to go and do a backflip for it. But if you see a $50, bill on the floor, I'll do a split to grab it, right? Whereas, talent, yeah, fine. But what else do you have to say? And when you have something to say and it's conceptualized and fleshed out and planned beautifully, and for me, it's like visuals and concepts and how I want the concept of that album cycle to feel. Like Downward Spiral had a feel to it. Boys for Pele had a feel to it. Nevermind had a feel to it compared to like In Utero. So all these examples, it's like, you're kind of, well, for me in any way, I kind of learned from the people who did it best. Yeah. And I kind of examined what my strengths and weaknesses are and just focused on my strengths to get them better and better and better and better and better.
So, Angel, what do you consider yourself? Because you're obviously not just a guitarist and not just a music. Like, this is so much bigger than that. How do you define what you're doing?
I feel like you're like Prince, dude, that you're going to start telling me why you built Paisley Palace and that you're not burning yourself out and you're just like have like 16 concept albums at this point. You've hired Kevin Smith to make a movie that's not going to come out. Because you can't make it yourself because you're aware of that, but you have millions of dollars in a giant 800,000 square foot house. And you're going to be like, no, man, I'm not working myself to death. And you're going to be like, look at this six pack. And then you're going to do the bat dance.
No, but it's amazing. You are the ultimate entrepreneur. And it's just incredible to see all the things you do. And I can understand because I feel like you just have so much creative energy that you have to just constantly keep going. And I think that's incredible.
Oh, thank you. You're right, though. I have to. Like, it's to the point where, here's the thing. When whatever it is that you're doing in life, if you know what your goal, what like your purpose is, right? If you know that you're here to make art or to make porn or to paint houses or to do hair, whatever it is, that is such a fucking privilege. Because think about it. Like, for us, it's something that I'm sure that you can relate to this aspect. When you're brought up and you find the violin or you find the piano or you find the guitar, you're like, oh, this is my forever home. Beautiful. And because we get that gift so early on, we kind of take it for granted at some point. But then throughout the years, I've met fans and people who genuinely don't know what the purpose is. And they're kind of working a job, they have a house and kids and stuff like that. And they're just kind of going through the motions. And they still feel incredibly lost at like 39, 43, because they weren't blessed to know what it is that their purpose is. And that is such a beautiful gift. And when you know that's what your gift is, it's kind of like, and you realize how much value is in it. It's like this innate desire to want to cultivate it and to be better, and not just for yourself, but to really inspire others. And that's like this cycle of inspiration. It's like performing on stage. Like, you can see how the audience is reacting to what you're doing, and it makes you want to play harder and faster and better, because you're giving something to them, and that's genuinely a piece of what you are. So, I don't see why someone wouldn't, but at the same time, everyone's got their own prerogative. I'm just grateful that I know what mine is.
So maybe we can tell anyone that's watching, how did you discover this? And at what point did this become apparent to you that this was the life that you wanted to live?
Yeah, I mean, for me, so growing up, I'm Puerto Rican. So in the household that I grew up in, it was, predominantly like dance music, which at that time was freestyle, house, funk, a lot of disco. Because I grew up with my mom's era, what she grew up with. So in the 60s and the 70s. So, and Spanish music, lots of Spanish music, salsa, merengue, bachata, the whole nine. So my first musical experience was really, the first record I ever got that was outside of that realm was Jules' Pieces of You, which I think is an incredibly timeless and beautifully written record. But even that was just like a no in the house. There was no white people music. That was the rule, right? And and I guess it was maybe a little part of teenage rebellion because I was the firstborn, but it's also a matter of like this. I just found so much beauty in this different type of music. Then it kind of went from there to like Meredith Brooks and Alanis Morissette and Hanson and this and that. Then Savage Garden. Then it went to Nirvana. Then Megadeth and Metallica and Testament. And it's very slowly.
You know what's so weird is I literally have like the exact same. Like I listened to Tori Amos, I listened to Ani DeFranco, then Alanis Morissette. Like I loved
that's an interesting progression.
Jagged Little Pill changed my fucking life.
How upset were you that they couldn't do the tour because of this fucking coronavirus?
Dude,
broke my heart.
You don't even know. Although I would have loved to have seen her with Taylor Hawkins. But the point is that even like Savage Garden, like I had all those Columbia House tapes that I still owe money for. That was like the 32 tapes that I had or whatever, those were all of them.
Yeah, man, that's it. And that's like our generation. The interesting thing is, so I'm 35 now, and we had a very analog childhood, but a very digital adulthood. So for us,
sure, yeah.
And the internet not being what it was.
Was that like a Zennial? Like we're Zennials. I'm 37.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that because like we grew up where you like rang the doorbell, like excuse me, is she home?
Yeah.
And like, you got punched in the face. But we're still alive in a time where people are using their cell phones that could like could put someone on the fucking moon with this thing.
Right.
But we remember when you had a rotary phone. We remember when you went outside and you did things and you weren't distracted by a fucking iPad. Right. But there's a whole generation of people that never saw tapes, that never bought a record, that like don't even know what it's like to live without an iPad something.
Yeah, but that's the that's the anchor of the generation, as far as like how they obtain information, how they communicate with one another, how they express themselves, and I think overall it's definitely for the better because, I mean, obviously we all have careers, thank God, to be able to connect with people and to have our talent displayed and to inspire other people to want to work with us. But, with that said, I think that is very beneficial. I see a significant difference with, I guess how people progress with music. So the beautiful thing about our generation is that our evolution as musicians happened behind closed doors. Okay? There was no need to post a video and this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
Whereas kids these days, that's what you do. So what happens is we're literally witnessing the growth. So like a lot of like the younger guitarists, like like Polyphia and Chana and things like that, I think are obviously evidently massively influential. But even more so, I'm really interested to see what happens when they're making music in their 40s. I want to see what they do. I want to see how they wind up evolving because, my generation, our generation, evolved quite differently. So when I came out of the gate, with my first couple records, it was kind of like I was already seasoned because I put in all my time, but like this, by myself.
Sure.
And you can cultivate what your sound is by yourself and not feel the pressure to do X, Y, and Z because it's trendy.
Yeah.
That's not, that word makes me want to bathe in bleach. I fucking hate that word. The word, like people who attach themselves to trends.
Listen, man, I learned very early on that the trend is fucking dead and that I should go fucking ape shit because I listened to Pantera and that was my fucking religion. And they had something called the Great Southern Trendkill. And I remember one of the coolest things ever was when they had the curtain down, and they started showing like the fucking strobe lights, and Phil Anselmo has his back, and you hear Dimebag Daryl doing fucking screeches, and he's just screaming, "The trend is dead!" And I just remember thinking to myself that this is the coolest thing ever. But that was a long time ago. So you're saying the trend still is dead?
I think that, no, it's more alive than it's ever been. I just feel like, the trend is this huge, massive, complicated, heavy, great sword that people can't wield. They don't know what the fuck to do. It's like a 7-year-old holding a sword and they're just kind of like doing this, like trying to balance it. And where they're balancing it, it's the balancing runs a parallel to them trying to navigate what the fuck it is that they want to say instead of saying, what someone else is saying. And listen, to a degree, like me growing up as a guitarist, it was a little Eric Johnson, it was a little bit of Vi, a little bit of Satriani, a little bit of Alex Skolnick.
So you mean like G3?
Yeah, like absolutely.
I love that fucking record, man.
Dude,
that was like
1997,
Eric
that
Johnson,
was it.
and they didn't put Cliffs of Dover on that first one, which pissed me off. Because I love that fucking song.
Absolutely.
And I understand Eric Johnson's amazing, but like you can't have your first live record with all those guys and not put Cliffs of Dover on there. That's fucked up.
I know. But the funny thing is, so I said the same thing as a kid because I was like, what the fuck? But the interesting thing was this. So the 3 songs that he actually did choose, which were Manhattan, Zap, and I can't remember the other one. But
What should have been
Cliffs
Cliffs
of Dover, but it wasn't. I will say, because I
like Desert Rose or something? I don't know.
I don't even know what it was. But it wasn't until a couple years after that I realized, I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually grateful that he did these 3, because if he didn't and I didn't have a visual, because there was no YouTube back then, we couldn't see, hey, Eric Johnson performing this. Because there was a videotape that I had of him performing these songs, it gave me a new appreciation for them. So granted, they were quite a departure from what Cliffs of Dover was. It taught me that, like, yo, this jazz song is the fucking shit. You know?
Right, yeah.
Well, he's like shred jazz. Because
Yeah, it's like
he
fusion.
really, he's ridiculous. He's so clean and he's so fast, but he plays like this beautiful tone. It's kind of what like Tony McAlpine did for a while, because that guy started off almost like an Yngwie Malmsteen, but now he does like jazz and fusion, and he's even played keyboards with Steve Vai. He's like, fuck the guitar. I've done enough with the guitar. You know what? I'll double Steve Vai on a keytar.
Yeah, he's a very
So that's
accomplished
what
pianist.
like, that's what those guys do when they're in their 40s. They started off as like Yngwie types, and I don't want to say he's an Yngwie type because Tony McAlpine, you're better than that.
Yeah.
But but now he's doing like I guess more mature music. Where there's a lot of guys that have gone off into wank territory. We have guys like Paul Gilbert who's like, you know what? Instead of playing every note, I'm just gonna play the right notes even better.
Right. And, okay, so you touched on something very interesting. You said a key word there, mature. Now, I felt the same way for many, many years. It's just like, when you go from like Yngwie, which is like probably one of my top 3 of all time, like massively influential.
Has to be.
See, here's the thing. So I think that, to a degree, it's kind of like what we see as mature. It's like, that stuff just because we listen to it in high school and we kind of progress from there, like that's someone's, end all be all. And I feel like with the trend of guitar today, which is like that, spanky neo soul kind of like, I call it just fuckboy shred, because it's just like they're all saying the same shit.
Fuckboy shred. Oh my God, that's our new fucking shirt. It's gonna say 2020 hashtag fuckboy shred.
Fuckboy shred, But there is, and the only
heard it
reason
here
why I know
first.
this, the only reason why I know this is because when I go to NAMM, I feel their aura and what their intention is. So when I look at it online,
Isn't that just called Grinder?
well, that's a
Does it
whole.
just say like 7 feet away?
Ben, let him finish where he's going.
You know, fucking
It
derail
tells
my
you where
ass.
he's going on the fucking application.
No, but no, the thing is, it's like, so there's these, 15-year-old, 17-year-old kids playing like these neo soul kind of thing, and there's this feeling of like, oh yeah. They're definitely very like, oh, yeah, I play mature music now, and then I think it's in my head. And then I go to NAMM, and then they're just swinging their dicks like this with the same attitude. I'm just like, dude, man, you don't even know how to conduct yourself, like, at all. So it validates what my gut tells me when I see their posts, And it's this facade of maturity, because the way you're wielding that talent, because it's evident they're good, is just in such a very immature way,
Well, it's a very nature nurture, because these kids, like, okay, so you said it. When we were younger, you had to get the video from Blockbuster. And hope that you could see Jakey Lee doing his thing on Just Say Ozzy or fucking whatever. And you're lucky if you could even see a close enough of Eddie Van Halen for 2 seconds doing something. Whereas now these kids that you're talking about were born at a time where you could literally see everything. Yngwie is himself going, well, this is how I play the third part. I only do thirds.
But it's
And
not
like,
just that too. It's also kids now are being able to upload, like you said, just like put stuff out on the internet and get immediate feedback. Whereas we all collectively grew up in, like you said, the generation.
The point is that they're like super conditioned with these techniques, but not life. And there's something important about the wisdom of all the things that you've been through, which is why I wanted to talk about Where You Come From, which is also a Pantera song. It's an awesome Pantera song, one of my favorites. But like the maturity, the wisdom that you have to choose the right notes, because you can have an awesome technique and you can wield it, but it's it becomes transparent. You know, when obviously when you go to NAMM and all that and you see them in person, but it does become transparent after a while when you find out these guys have never done longer than 47 seconds straight of anything in their lives, haven't been on tour, haven't left their rooms ever. You know what I mean? Versus people like you who have, you know, left a country they were born in, you know, changed your whole dynamic of your life, your economic status, and you've blazed a trail in so many different ways. You do so many different things proficiently. It's inspiring.
Thank you.
I mean, so can you tell us about like when you were younger, did you ever think that you were going to be like this jacked, good looking dude that just kills it, shredding, blazing trails?
Oh, we're getting back to the question
know.
I asked like 20 minutes ago.
That's amazing.
Well,
Don't
it's just my
steal my
subconscious
thunder.
catching up to you. It's a cachet.
No, but this is good. I really do want to get back to you
It's a
because I
bounce
think
back.
you're such an incredible entrepreneur and musician and everything. And it's so inspiring. And I think you do have something incredible to say in the world of artistry. And I think that's something that a lot of people can learn from. So yeah, it would be great to hear more about
Goodness, well,
your
first-
trajectory.
Well, thank you. Goodness. I mean, that means a tremendous amount. Yeah, so, you know, I guess with taking it up from, I guess, the temperature of the household that I was in, you know, I left that house quite early. Lots of substance abuse, lots of horrible things. It just examples of what not to do in life. You know, luckily I was, I guess, aware enough to see at a young age, like, fuck, that's what you're doing. That's hurting people. You know, I don't want to do that. You know, I left the house, I think around 17. I spent a couple years homeless, just bouncing house to house to house. And a lot of people, I feel like, you know, I would feel the same way. It's like when I hear those stories, it's like, fuck, man, I'm so sorry. But to be completely honest, it was like one of the most liberating times of my life, you know, because I didn't have to worry about, you know, I didn't have to worry about anything. I could just be myself and do the things that I wanted to do. And so, you know, I was very focused on getting my first record out. This was quite a number of years ago. And at the time, I had, it was a record called Revelations. Well, I had put out a couple records, like just small demos and stuff like that previously. But, you know, it wasn't until I, you know, had this record tangible, like this, I had the masters in my hand and I was like, holy shit, like this is it, man, you know? I knew that I had
I love that you just said masters in your hand. So like you actually had like a 2-inch tape or something like that, like, or half-inch tape, or because in analog, someone gave you like a reel-to-reel or something?
No. It was just like, well, the CD. It was. I'm not that old
Even
yet.
then, 'cause, like, everyone sends stuff like, I'm going to email that to you, to actually have someone like even burn a disc that's a master. That was such a cool thing to be able to go put that in your deck. So I just wanted to like bring that back to the Zennial comment, because like that's a thing that a lot of people a little bit younger than us and a little bit older than us can't relate to.
Right. It was kind of like that very brief middle ground because technology expanded so quickly. It was very
Like
short-lived.
the mini disc, flash in the pan.
Yeah.
Betamax, flash in the pan.
Here's my masters now.
Yeah, exactly. A thumb drive, or an email. You know, but you still, regardless of the method you would still have that same feeling of like, holy shit, I did this. You know, and I didn't care to what degree that I had to sacrifice for it. You know, I mean, because the most important thing for me personally, and I even knew this back then, was like my legacy. You know, I knew that I was never going to rush to do something, you know, just to get it out for a specific timeline or anything like that. Like, I'm going to take my time, and I will, to the end of time, take my time to make sure, you know, because once you put it out there, it's out there forever, no matter what, you know, it's out there forever. And
hey kids, doing the TikTok thing or sending out those messages, like Snapchatting, trust me, it's being uploaded to the cloud.
Yeah, and it'll be there forever, you know. But then once I put that once I put that record out, it got the attention of this band called 40 Below Summer, if you guys know them. And
Dude, my first tour I ever did was with 40 Below Summer.
There you go.
I ever did. Those guys, I love those guys. That was in 2001 with Biohazard, 40 Below Summer, and American Head Charge.
American Head Charge, yeah, man. So they got wind of the record, and they were looking for guitarists because they wanted to reform. So they were doing a super group with some of the guys from Flaw, and then I joined them for a little while. And the cool thing about, you know, when you're young, because they were maybe 6 or 7 years older than me, and you know, had houses and kids and stuff like that. I was in my early 20s, so I was able to learn from people who made a lot of mistakes, man. You know, a lot of mistakes. but they did a lot of things right as well. So I was able to kind of get a bit of both waves of, how to kind of navigate my own career. And, I put out my second record, and this was when the internet was starting to sort of rev up, and my first, I guess, claim to fame, I think the thing that put me into motion was this message board called 7string.org. Now, 7string.org was this community of like guitarists and people who like, metal and heavy music and guitar. And the owner got wind of me on MySpace, because on MySpace at the time I was killing it, and I had a lot of fans, and 15,000 on MySpace. Oh my God, that was huge at the time.
Yeah. And is that why I was never in your top 10?
Maybe. But this guy made a post about me, and he vouched for me. He's like, "Yo, dude, you guys got to check this kid out." And the thread went really well. Then I joined the group, and we all became friends, and that was like the first wave. And then when I started putting videos out on the internet, it like elevated it. And then, the next record was like another elevation. So it was constantly catapulting, from, I guess album cycle to album cycle, but also from band to band. Because what happened eventually in 2012, I joined a band that Tommy Vex was the frontman for, called Vexed. And that was another beautiful experience of just like learning it, and also knowing your role in the situation, because I'm a control freak, and the only reason why I'm a control freak is because I know that I'm good at what I do. But when you're in a band situation, it's much more a democracy of delegation, Mm-hmm. So there were things that I was responsible for, and I made sure to come through on my end with them, and as did the other guys, and that's the reason why the album came out so successful. But then once I went back into the studio for my fourth record, Away with Words, I just knew that it would just take way too much out of me, and I would have nothing else to really offer another, side piece, so to speak. So I had to leave the group, which actually worked out in everyone's favor, because Tommy wound up moving, out west, doing Westfield Massacre, then eventually Bad Wolves, of course. And by the fourth record, I kind of was pretty well established in my career, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And around that time, that's when my best friend at the time, he had ALS, and he wound up passing away maybe...
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man, it was rough, man. Like 5 or 6 months after he got diagnosed in May. So he passed away December 19th, and he was diagnosed in May, so which is very fast, and he was 35.
Oh my God.
Very, very young, and it's an absolutely dreadful disease. But once that happened, and I was still working a day job at the time, I kind of had... life presented me with this fork in the road of, the job gave me a really nice, job offer, like a promotion, and I was also presented with my first tour offer. So I was like, well, what the hell do I do? Well, after losing your best friend at 35 years old, I was like, fuck this, man. Like, I can always come back to this job. I love this job. I'm still really close with everyone there to this day. So right now I can call me like, hey guys, I want to come in. Oh, we'll see you tomorrow morning, So I knew that I always have that safety net. So I was like, you know what? I'm jumping in, man. I'm going to do this tour, and I'm going to do this, as long as I possibly can. And, then it was tour after tour, and, record after record, and here I am. But yeah, that was, and bring me to present day. I think that, the visual aspect, and I think everyone has their own formula that works for them. This is another thing I talk to artists about. So it's kind of like, if you want to be, really cheesy for a second, but the analogy is so beautiful, I think. So it's kind of like the key to success. Like, there's grooves in a key, right? So, the grooves that are going to make Benny Goodman successful, in the key are going to be quite different from the grooves that are going to make me successful, So, to kind of expand on the kids that are kind of repeating everyone else's, I guess, methods of success, so when they're seeing Jared Dines do funny videos on YouTube, I'm going to try and do that. And they're going to put the key into that slot, and they're going to turn it, and it's going to be, It's not going to turn. All right, got to do something else. All right, I'm going to do gear reviews. All right, going to put it in. All right, I don't have the personality for this. All right, then I'm going to try something else. All right, I'm going to try to do original music. Voila, that door opens. Great. But the thing is like, once you open that door, there's a whole fucking lifetime worth of doors to open.
Can I tell you how much I appreciate that? Because I was always told that groove was in the heart by D-Light. So the fact The fact that you just told me about where my grooves were and how to actually open that door explains why I've just been banging for so fucking long and no one opens it up, man.
This is brilliant because this came up on a previous podcast episode of understanding your brand, and you are clearly a visionary when it comes to knowing yourself and knowing your brand. Visionary. Yeah, you are like a pioneer in this, and it's so admirable to see because I think that is the ultimate statement. Yeah, you have to know what your groove is. Yeah, because if you just start trying around and then
look at his colors.
Spread all thin. No, it makes total sense. But anyway,
sorry, keep going. Behind him, his whole house is probably like that.
It's
beautiful.
That was rest assured. Fucking A, you're damn right because
I know it is. Because I've seen your videos. Everything's beautiful.
Yeah,
I would hate to be your house cleaner.
Well, I do that too. Don't want to come into my house. Shit. I'm Spanish, baby. We clean our own houses.
I'm not saying you can't, but I suspect that you probably need help with how nice your house is. And if you do that, the makeup, the editing, and all that yourself, fuck you. Get off cocaine. I don't want you to die.
No, man. I do it for myself for a couple of reasons. A, I'm good at it. And B, I save tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you
thousands of dollars doing it myself.
Yeah, you do. Because can we just say this? Because if anyone goes and sees Angel's videos and all the stuff that you do, it always looks so professional.
It
so
does.
beautiful. I mean, you are a professional, but you do so much of it. To see, Cory and I, we like to think that we do a little directing, a little photography, this and that, but we don't. He's much better at it than I am. So I'm not
it's definitely a skill. I've just tried to do videos.
But everything that you do looks like you paid someone $30,000 to $40,000 to do it. And I tip my hat to you because every time I see your stuff, I don't even hear the music. I just go, that looks hard. Look at the lighting.
And it takes so fucking long.
That's not even a 3-point light kit. That's a ring light. Look at his eyes. They're beautiful.
Dude.
I don't even know how much time. Yeah, that's way beyond any capability that I have.
That's literally sometimes if I don't want to roll 9 in the morning, that is we want to talk about time. I mean, because it's all right, so going back to the key thing with the grooves, it's every groove kind of represents a different skill set. So all right, can you write a song? Can you phrase the right way? Can you sell yourself visually? Do you know how to work your analytics? Can you do videography? Can you do this? Can you do that? And, depending on how unique it is how well you've, developed that particular skill, it's going to make that key unlock numerous doors, as opposed to figuring out one and then the next one and then the next one.
So I have a question, Angel. At what point do you start to delegate out tasks? Because you do so much. Is there a point where you're like, I gotta give this to someone else, or I need assistance on one thing? Where do you draw that line?
Yo, for sure. That's an amazing question, and I don't want people to think that I'm some fucking superhero. I do.
Well, you are.
Kind of are. Even the body, dude. You got the '80s He-Man action figure that all of them had. But I can't do it because I don't have. This is Salt and Pepper. Yeah. Got no Spinderella in between. You know what I mean?
I got a little tiny one.
That's because you're holding up that violin.
Right, I know.
But yeah, no, for sure. Because there's certain things that my ideas for the big videos are much beyond my skill set, to edit and obviously listen, I can't shoot myself and dance and play guitar at the same time. I have to trust someone, but the people that I trust, man, I vet them out for a very, 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 very long time, because not only am I investing my time, my energy, and my vision with them, but also I'm paying them a tremendous amount of money. So I have to be very, very, very conservative and make sure that their vision is the way that I explain it is this is my yellow and your blue have to make a gorgeous shade of green. That's what collaboration is. And when you're in a band, that red, that yellow, that blue, that green, that purple has to be completely copacetic. It has to have a lot of continuity in it, because if it doesn't, something's gonna fall through the cracks. Right. At some point, and the only thing that's going to wind up suffering is the integrity of the art that you put so much time, money, and effort into doing. So, and the only reason why I say this is because I've fucked up many, 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 many times choosing the wrong people, and up until this day, I still sometimes mess up because we're all human, and people from LA are very good actors, so.
I bet.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my God. Listen, we'll be here for another 3 hours talking about that. Kill me now.
With their scarves and their fucking pompous hats.
I just can't. It's just they're just like, oh my god.
The level of smug.
It's like not all of them. I know a few diamonds in the rough.
We can't speak holistically, but like you can walk down the streets in Beverly Hills and you can smell the smug. You can see the dreadlocks coming off the guy, the gluten-free, vegan, extra soy, made only 3 times, triple blended by USA people that donate to Niagara, Nigeria. And
Oh my god!
All
No,
right.
but that's a powerful statement though, because you can, I'm sure, easily dilute your brand or tarnish something by getting enough wrong people or enough wrong minds on board. For sure. I can imagine that's the downfall of a lot of people and projects.
And a lot of bands. Think about all the modern bands these days. Like none of them have original members. Get the fuck out of here. Like by the grace of God, thank God. I mean, like I've literally had the same bassist, the same drummer, same guitarist for a collective of like maybe like between 10 to 14 years to some of them. Same guys, we all live 20 minutes away from each other, like that's to the end all be all, and for a solo artist, it's like, because we're constantly switching out musicians in and out. Yeah. Vi has different groups all the time. But I mean, like that's my family, and and when you find those connections and you find those personalities that are so complementary to one another, it's like, it's another gift, and I don't take that for granted at all, and granted it's my project, but I mean, I always value their opinions and their time and their efforts into trusting me, because they've been with me way before any of this took off. Like they fucking trusted me. They trusted me. They believed in me before anyone else did, and like that's a beautiful, beautiful gift. I mean, like just time and effort alone. And then obviously, like I'm sure that they've spent money on gear for this and that, and so I'm just eternally grateful to all of them. Bill, Jake, and Jay, man. I mean, like that's my family. So
awesome.
When you find it, you gotta hold on to it. As long as the creations that you make are fruitful. Sometimes you might have a different idea than what someone's abilities are. Then you can kind of go somewhere else. But even when you go to find someone else that can provide you with what it is.
Your friends were all ninja musicians, and they all got better with you. So, like, I mean, I'm the same way. Like, so Paul, who's the drummer in Lost Symphony, our band, for the most part, other than a few Jason Costa and David Abraziz, I've been playing. I met him on Craigslist, dude. I swear to God, I always say casual encounters, but like, and you have to. He's such a mellow, meek dude, but his original answering machine was like, leave a message, and that was like, and then when all the recordings he sent me fucking sucked. But then he showed up to practice. He told our singer he liked Faith No More. We're like, okay, well that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then he like played like a motherfucker, and since then, like he reads my brain. Yeah. But I'm lucky because he's been in 97 bands because he's so good that everyone goes, oh, we're waiting for Paul so he can be in that. Like Cory even knows, we're like, do we even call Paul? Will Paul even do this? Because but Bill, who's the drummer in your band, for example, that guy's a fucking monster. So like if you ditched him, you'd be a lunatic. Yeah. You would have a synapse that's not firing properly.
With no bridge.
I would question your dopamine release in your brain.
Yeah,
There's no serotonin.
Which clearly he's got a lot of today, guys.
Yeah.
Today?
As opposed to any other day, Angel. This is true.
I want to ask a question, not to change the subject, but obviously you're very much on the forefront of understanding like social media and everything, which I'm really bad at. And even with branding, like this, I've spent my whole life playing violin, and just now I'm like trying to.
Thank God you have fans that just like make their sites of you.
No, but my career has gone in a different way. I've always just kind of had a gig here or a band or whatever.
Famous.
So no, but I mean, everybody has a different path, but I'm interested. So at what point did you realize that video and multimedia was important? Because it seems to me like you were on the front end of that trend in a lot of ways.
So it's much like the gears that work, for certain people. So sometimes I'll consult with an artist who's just like, I've been watching what you're doing and I'm doing exactly what you're doing, but it's not working. Well, you can't compare yourself to me because we're very different, and the way that I'm doing it works for me. There aren't any other instrumentalists that were videos integral to their brand. Like Animals as Leaders, they don't need to do that. Pliny doesn't need to do that. These guys do not need to do that, and they don't, because they understand what it is that works for them. For me, like I will and can never release a record without visuals attached to it. Like, I just couldn't stomach it, and it really wouldn't work, you know? And the visual influences how you enjoy the music so much, you know? So even if these other artists who aren't doing it do it eventually, they're going to see such a very different engagement because the visuals tell a different story, especially with instrumental music. So with instrumental music, you're so limited. There's no lyrics. The only thing that you can base the premise and dynamic of your concept is the song title. And that's the reason why I put thought into the song titles and the titles of the records, because that's all you got to go by. So if you got to find what kind of works for you, right? And it doesn't mean that video works for you or it doesn't. It's not like that. It's the type of videos that work for you, because video is like universal. It's kind of like underwear. It works for well, it doesn't work. Well, bad example. Because
everyone could do video, but you have to be choosy. I get what you're saying.
Right. You got to experiment to see what's going to really work for you. You know, some people could just use their iPhones and just like whatever. You know, whereas it's like, you know.
How do you feel about that, by the way, Angel? People that just use their iPhones and think that they can make a Lady Gaga video.
I mean,
like, what's your opinion? Actually, I'll ask you the same question that Cory asked Jason Leckberg. What do you want to tell musicians to stop doing?
I would like to see musicians do what they want to do genuinely and not feel pressured to do anything just because someone else is doing it.
Authenticity is key. I totally agree with you.
Authenticity, 100%. You know, and stick to your guns. It's not going to happen immediately for certain people, you know? I mean, like,
okay, so now that we're going to cut that out, the really nice answer, give us the asshole real deal answer. No, you want to know what Jason Leckberg said? He said, get off the fucking stage.
He's saying stop being a fake ass.
I agree with that. No, I'm kidding. I love his answer.
Stop being a fake ass bitch and be authentic. That's
say it like that. Say it like that. I'll remember that.
Yeah. But
I'll make the synapse now. It'll fire next time I think about it. I'll remember what he said, because you want to know what I remember?
Ben, fuck you. Let him talk.
Silence.
Silence.
Why was he wearing shoes?
I don't know where you are. Angel, please continue.
I'm good. No, I really do think that, you know, but at the same time, I think that, you know, I have to even watch myself and how I'm saying that too, because, you know, I'm not conditioned to experiencing what it's like to be a musician in 2020, trying to go out there, you know, so I feel a part of the growth is to let the public see your growth, which is a very fucking terrifying thing if you really think about it. You have to be.
That's great advice, though.
It's scary. It's really scary, man. And then obviously you have to have some type of tough skin. You have to have some type of tough skin, because here's the thing about the human condition in the mind and how our minds are wired. Out of a million comments that are positive, it's going to be the one negative one that just, especially if it hits us the wrong way. Because our minds are Teflon for good experiences and Velcro for bad ones. Now, why? Because we don't want those bad experiences to happen again, so we hold on to them.
That's like every relationship I've ever had, Angel. Like, I'll say one thing. I'll be like, I love you. You're beautiful. You're great. And then, like, one time I'm like, you suck. And, like, that one day in 1987 in November, it was sunny out, and you were wearing Lee jeans, and you told me I sucked, and you fucking suck. That's my whole life. People just selective memories of trolling.
I feel like we need to like have a separate little talk with Benny. Just therapy, straight up therapy. Like
almost every podcast is therapy.
Just let our management know how much we owe you. Yeah.
He has to scream off his angst while we're.
But you know, I think overall like that would be my advice, man. You know, it's just really be honest with what you're good at. Don't feel like you don't take on things that you're not passionate about doing. You know, if you don't have ideas for videos, you don't have ideas for artwork, hire a consultant. That's what we do. Yes. So you can worry about writing the songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, Elton John can't write lyrics. He knows that. He knows to delegate that, you know? But again, it's like when you see people like me or Misha Mansour writing everything and doing everything ourselves, people feel like they have to take on that same pressure. And that's not the case. That's not the case, you know? So really navigate, be honest with what you're good at and not good at, and just don't hurt your art, you know, because it takes a lot of time to cultivate that and get good at it. And that's what's going to happen. And no one's going to give a shit if it's not properly, you know, put together.
Yeah, and you have to put in the time. I think a lot of people see stuff and it looks so simple and seamless that they underestimate how much time you really do have to invest, especially on the honing of your craft. You know,
Guilty.
Well, especially when you make it look so freaking easy. Both of you, Siobhán and
but that's
Angel,
the thing.
both post videos. Like if I
Oh my God, my
know
videos
you,
are so bad. I like look at yours and I'm like, I can't do this.
but the point is, okay, yes, production-wise, Angel has you completely trumped.
Yeah,
but the
for
thing
sure.
is, but here's something. Maybe Angel can even talk about this. I find a lot of the well-produced videos, and I appreciate the well-produced videos. But it's people like Siobhán, who doesn't even know how to use a fucking camera, but plays like a goddamn maniac. And people would still get more views because when you go and produce it, it's almost like, well, we know you're good because you used a red camera, so you must be good.
Yeah, there is a certain validation with the type
People
of
say you're
production.
fake.
Yeah.
It's too well done for you to have done it randomly.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
No, it is, but again, it's a matter of like what your strength is. You know, if you have like Guthrie Govan, okay, like so that man doesn't need any of that. Like he could literally pull up his phone and improvise on the spot, and people will watch it, and they will have a lot of views, and it will have a lot of engagement. Why? Because it's like again that groove and that his key is so well crafted and just very precise and just perfect. And just developed to ungodly proportions that it compensates, and it you know, for the lack of production.
You don't think it's the hair?
It could be that too.
I feel like every time I watch Guthrie Govan, all I hear is hair.
Yeah, man. Well, he
because he just does this thing back and forth, and I mean, like, and his fingers are moving so fast, and it's like such clean, precise notes that all I can think to myself is, what conditioner does he use?
Yeah. But it's like now, even with me, if I go look at old school violin, like classical violin recordings of like Henrik Schering, and it's just like, he's just like, boom. The video is shit. Even the audio quality is shit, but you're just like, it doesn't even matter. And then now Lindsey Sterling has to be doing backflips and like, you know, $10 million of production for people to watch like 30 seconds of it.
You know what? You bring up a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful point. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, once you set the bar for yourself and that formula works, you have to be okay with maintaining that from then on, you know, and that's a massive undertaking because you're constantly outdoing yourself. And that, by definition, is the term of healthy competition. Don't compete against each other. Compete against what your best is, you know? Furthermore, you know, like let's take the guitar, instrumental community, right? Competitive as hell. You have lead guitarists who are men, nevertheless, because the female guitar community operates quite differently. I'm just going to use the men here as an example because I'm a guy and I'm in it and I know myself. And, you know, extremely competitive, very, very cliquey, you know. And the reason why it's cliquey is actually a psychological theory called terror management theory. Now, it kind of goes along with religion in general. Like, you know, the more fearful the religion is of the God, the more destructive it is. So, you know, think of radical Islam.
Is the God Eddie Van Halen?
Oh, Benny, mute him. He's done. Mute him. Because if he fucks me up, I'm not going to be able to find my place back again.
Okay, go. Keep going.
Okay, so anyway, so what happens is, the more fearful the religion is of the God, you know, the more destructive they are. And this is where, you know, like I mentioned, radical Muslim in a lot of these destructive religions. It runs the same parallel to the guitar community because we all realize that our careers are incredibly fragile, especially nowadays with everyone getting canceled. So what's going to happen? We have to band together and to kind of feel like there's a community that we have that's belonging. But the problem with that is the ones who are most fearful are the ones who see other people and just going to be like, no, you can't sit with us. No, you can't sit with us. You know, so then you have this, you know, you have the same tours happening over and over and over and over and over again with the same artists and the same billings. It's just like, okay, you know, we get it. You know, the same collabs over and over and over again. And, you know, it's destructive to the community. Like for me personally, like I fucking hope we all make it. I predict that at some point, I'm not entirely sure when, Polyphia will go on tour with either Justin Bieber or Post Malone, 100% at some point. And I hope that it happens. Like, because what's going to happen is this. It's going to be mutually beneficial for the entire community the more we all become, you know, individually successful, right? So it's kind of like, you know, I try my best not to have issues with anyone and try to see the good in people despite whatever they're navigating with their personalities as far as their fear is. Because again, like at the end of the day, we need each other. A lot of us are all DIY. We have no managers, we have no labels. It's just us. And that's a beautiful thing to have that much control. And when you have collective people, especially in this community in particular, it's very DIY. We have so much collective power together and we don't even fucking realize it. Now, the reason why we can't realize it is because there are things that are preventing people from connecting, whether it's jealousy, whether it's envy, whether it's ego,
dude.
Yes.
That's the problem. Is I find this so much in the guitar community because I'm a dude.
Yeah.
I'm in the guitar community. The problem is that like a lot of people don't, like I found even some guitar players I would think would have known each other or known about each other, like almost don't even acknowledge it because it's like, oh yeah, that, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I even remember a certain guitar player said that you were like cut and paste when I first met him, and then I think he saw you live, and it was like, oh no, that guy doesn't cut and paste. Well, no, because honestly, it's true. Like if you didn't know, because you're such an incredible, accurate player, you wouldn't realize necessarily that it isn't studio magic. You play like that, and you do all the videos now, so everyone can see that it's not lip syncing. You know what I mean? Because there's a whole thing in the guitar community where everyone's trying to be better. But one thing that I really appreciate about you, which I wish that all these super technicians would learn, is where you learn all these techniques and you try to wield them, learn how to know when to wield them because that's the skill. It's like being a DJ. It's not the fact that what songs I have. It's knowing the right song at the right time, or even being a fashion person, knowing the right dress at the right time to wear to the Grammys and then at the after party and then to change for this because that's what people talk about. Yeah. And it's so important. And you know that. And it's so inherent in your branding. And that's one thing. And Jason Leckberg, our marketing guy, you know, you're the one that said to us, one of the guys that said to us, hey, that guy's great. Yeah. And it makes so much sense because you guys are both the same types of maniacs.
Yeah, you gotta be, man. You gotta be. These days, you know, no one's gonna do it for you, you know? And even the people who say they're gonna do it for you is kind of like, all right, we're lies, man. It's just like, you know, it's they're just talking you up and, you know, and I think the other thing too is like a lot of people like, you know, because bitch, I have an ego, but I keep my fucking ego, I embrace it in the four walls of my home. I don't bring it out with me. I don't bring it out on tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will literally, I will sit here. I'll be like, "Fuck, that was good, son of a bitch."
Bring it on!
I was sitting here underneath my ceiling fan, with just just in my underwear, just like because I'm breaking a sweat at how excited I am. Just like, oh my god, you know. But I don't let that affect anyone else's day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like. And I feel like the more in Buddhism, we call it inviting your ego to tea, you know? Invite it to tea, you know? Get to know it so that you know exactly when it is that, like, especially at NAMM, that's the problem, that lack of awareness. They don't embrace, they don't do that, you know? So what happens is to prove where their level is, they have to do this. And I'm like, oof.
People are missing self-hatred. Because that's one of the things, because these guys are all so full of themselves.
There's plenty of self-hatred.
No, but those people are different
it.
than what we're talking about. Because these guys are just, they know they're good at it, and they just do it. But like for me, I'm like scared. I don't want you to fucking hear it. And even in my own house, I'm not like, that was good. I'm going, that was acceptable. And that's the 743rd take. I'm like, that sucked. Start again. That sucked. Start again. That. And my girlfriend will be like, why did you just play the same note for 43 minutes straight? Because I couldn't get past the first measure.
Yeah. But it's because you care, you know? Like you hear it in your head and you know how it should sound and you want to honor how it should sound the way it should sound, you know? And that's where that, you know, like you were talking like that self-doubt, you know, I wouldn't call it self-hate. It's just like self-doubt. And I have it all the time. All of us have it. But you have to be honest with yourself just so that you don't let that prevent you from putting shit out. And that's the problem. And that's a big problem. I find with a lot of artists that I consult is that they're brilliant, but either, you know, whatever childhood trauma, and it goes back to that, you know, of self-value.
You're right.
And, oh my God, integral, you know, is a lot of the time it's a fucking hell. Like I'm playing therapist because they don't realize it. And I guess the other reason why they don't realize this is because, you know, I have a rather unique upbringing that allows me to kind of notice those things in people. And like, especially after like the third consultation, and there's certain keywords that they say is like, I don't know, man, or how they say it. Like, it's just like, you have to get yourself to a point where you do know so that you're actually happy with it, because you're sitting on a fucking album's worth of material and you keep writing new material. It's just like, well, you know, what are you going to do? When are you going to start it? When are you going to start your growth? Instead of...
Yeah, no, I was going to say there's so many parallels too with the classical world. And I notice this all the time. And when we're talking about people not being supportive of each other, this happens all the time amongst violinists because people will be like, especially the people that are the most afraid of releasing stuff will be the first to have a negative comment about anybody that does, you know, because they have not encountered that fear, overcome that fear of their own limitations with themselves. And they project it onto other people. And it's sad because, you know, even with me, I try to always project, you know, inclusion, encouraging people to release their stuff, to, you know, be a part of the growth process. But so many people, they just can't encounter that fear of, you know, just overcoming it. And they put the negativity on someone else. It's rough.
No, you're absolutely right. And to speak a little bit more on the classical world, because man, my God, it's like lawyers, you guys. Holy shit. It's like, it's really
scary.
It's completely terrifying, to be completely honest. You know, the tremendous amount of, and the funny thing is too, is just like, I found whenever I've collaborated with a number of classical musicians, and so obviously it's very restrictive and it's very disciplined in the sense that, you know, these are the fucking rules, you do not go out of the rules. And unfortunately for a lot of people, they can't turn that off. So they can't compose for the life of them. They cannot improvise, you know, or they have difficulty doing so. And it's very difficult. So what happens is I feel like a lot of them are being extremely competitive to detrimental proportions. I mean, truly, like career-ending level shit, to play someone else's music.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I know, and we go through our whole lives as classical musicians not realizing how ironic that is. Like, it's, you know, where it's just like we're just killing ourselves over music we didn't even write, you know, all the time. Yeah.
But it's like, but the guitar community can be competitive, stuff like that, but the classic and the jazz world too is pretty competitive in that respect. Jazz
we were talking about
we were just talking about this on the other podcast, that if you really want like the ultimate, because we're talking to Rodolfo Zuniga, who's the drummer from Julio Iglesias, and he started off with Iron Maiden and Soundgarden and all that, and he was talking about like, well, if you really want the ultimate, play jazz, and I'm like. I don't understand any of that music whatsoever. And honestly, now that I take guitar lessons, the thing that I learn the most are jazz voicings. Yeah. Because it's the thing that I go, wow, I never knew how to do a 13th chord. Yeah. That's really interesting because it's so mystical to us rock players.
But the level of neurosis amongst
the neurosis is so ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a matter of intimidating. You know, it's very, we see other people that, you know, what they're doing and we feel like it's so outside of our ability, you know, but the reality is, you know, Eric Johnson's DNA is the same as my DNA. We both have the same capabilities of doing it. Is again, do you want to struggle to learn all this jazz theory or all this classical, you know, proper position, proper technique, and command of tempo and stuff like that? Do you want to go through that struggle? Me? Fuck no. I'd rather just sit here and listen to it and enjoy it objectively, you know, and take subconsciously whatever blueprints that it's going to teach me to do as a composer and as a writer, and that's going to subconsciously, and you'll see it on The Way with Words Part 2, it's going to subconsciously just kind of flow itself out, you know? And that's a beautiful thing, you know, because like my first ever musical experience was playing at church, you know, at 15. I was an electric guitarist playing in a 13-person jazz, like horns, guitar, keyboards, choir, the whole nine. And there's not a lot of room for electric guitar in that at all. It's salsa, merengue, and bachata. You know, we were doing.
That's what they thought.
We would do like Black Magic Woman and they would change the lyrics to be more religious. Mark Anthony songs from back in the day, Elia Santiago, like all these old school Spanish artists. And, you know, I had to write my own
Don
parts.
Omar.
Yeah, all those guys. Tito Puente.
Julio Iglesias.
I don't think we did any Julio Iglesias, but we did do a lot of Tito Puente.
Tito Puente,
yeah,
and
man.
even Tito Puente Jr.
Yeah, well, it's funny enough. He actually lived. Well, at the time, he lived in Jersey too. So, like, he actually had connections, I think, with the trumpet player or maybe the trombonist. I think they went on tour together. Whatever. But in any case, you know, I had to learn at 15 years old. Mind you, I'm like Megadeth, Metallica, to learn when to play and not to play. Tough, really, really tough. You know, but. You know, I would listen back. Like we would do like little audio recordings, and then I would need to listen back. Like, here, listen, you hear? You're just doing too much there. Like, let the piano do a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that does sound really bad. That sounds really bad, bro. Right? Yeah, you know, like 15, and it was just like, you know, down to the ego. But that's what I felt like kept me grounded, and you know, no matter like what the artist is that do a guest solo for, whether it's like Carnifex, which is like super crazy death metal, or something like Lost Symphony, that's very, classical based.
But that's okay, because you know what? We still call it Symphony. For those that don't know, Lost Symphony was originally called Symphony, but one of the things that sucks about being in a band is choosing a name and then getting a trademark, the .com, and then when you find out some other person out there in New York has another band with prior art.
But Angel, thank you for your contributions to Lost Symphony.
Yeah.
And Symphony.
I know that you're tight on time, and we definitely appreciate you being on with us.
We really do.
You guys can hear Angel Vivaldi on Lost Symphony Chapter 1.
Yes.
Lacrimosa, as well as
Some-
we did a song for our fallen friend Ollie Herbert, who actually brought us together, which we're gonna Angel, I hope you'll come back on and talk to us at some
I'd love
point
to.
about because we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes
No, there's
of this
so much stuff
conversation.
you have to share.
I
It's
know.
unbelievable.
It's
It's amazing. No, it's
Let us
amazing.
know when we can book some time.
Yeah, and Angel, why don't you tell us where everyone can find your stuff, and when is The Way with Words Part 2 coming out? Is that announced yet? Or?
I'll leave you guys with this little tidbit. So
Ooh, exclusive.
over the next year, you'll see not one but two records from me. The second record will be with my new band that I'm in. So
Sounds like a very Prince thing to do, Angel Vivaldi.
I know. Imagine that.
I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. When he's like 45, 10 years from now, 45, you're going to be like living in a giant Mrs. Remington house, like all fucking Liberace'd out. You're going to have you're like, here's the 13 albums I did with this band that I fired. I promise you. And with that said, Angel, thank you so much for being on 2020. And
tell everyone where they can find your stuff. Yeah, he didn't even get to do that yet. Ben, for fuck's sake.
I wasn't going to officially 2020 him. I wasn't going to officially 2020 him. We're still running. Fuck you, Siobhán.
Oh, that made my day. That was
I'm
so
sorry.
good.
There's a threshold where Siobhán breaks at every
No, but
episode.
I'm so happy because Siobhán started swearing in the last few episodes, and it's made me so happy.
That's the only thing that cuts through your bullshit.
I love it, though. I love it. I even told Scott I felt so proud that I brought the fucks out in you.
Well, that's an accomplishment. So bravo there. You can put that on your musical resume. I pissed off Siobhán. Oh God. But yeah, so I mean, you guys could just Google me, man. I'm everywhere. Just you can go to angelvivaldi.com.
What a California thing to say. Just Google
I know,
me, man.
Google me. If you guys
Google
can
me,
hear this,
bitch.
feel this hair flip,
We'll have links up below this.
We'll have links and the picture of you with your Charvels that are fucking
and no
amazing.
vagina.
And
No
no
vagina.
vagina.
Yeah, and you can follow her on Instagram too.
2020-d.com. Thank you so much, Angel Vivaldi.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's
Thank
an absolute
you.
pleasure.
Amazing.
Had a blast. Thank you guys so
Thanks,
much again.
Angel. We appreciate your time, man.
Mwah.